According to the IRS, the #1 crime in America today is identity theft. True story. Do you know 3 people who have not had their identity stolen? Guess what? The statistics say that 1 in 4 Americans will fall victim to some form of identity theft. Now, go congratulate your 3 friends who got off easy. Am I telling you this just to make you paranoid? Kick the covers all night? Hardly. I bring good tidings, because you know me, you can beat the odds. If I fail you, I have a $5 million guarantee in place to put your life back together. Yes, it does feel a bit like a superpower, but I refuse to wear the tights. Seriously though, identity theft is no laughing matter. Let me protect you before it happens. CFRN.net/legal shield. You can thank me later. Your peace of mind is waiting at CFRN.net/legal shield.
You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Borth. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Well, we all know that a bumpy start means we're going to have a really great show. So, happy Thursday. Today is Thursday, the 27th day of April, 2017. Thanks for joining us. If you are returning, welcome back. If you're here for the first time, then a very special welcome to you. We're going to start things out here by running through the numbers. Then we're going to go straight over to Michael and get a recap of what happened in the live training room today. And then I'll be back with my usual mishmash of stuff, and we'll chat with John today. And there's a chance at the top of the hour that Garrett will join us, so we look forward to that. All right, these are the cash markets starting here in the U.S. The Dow is down 16 points. NASDAQ is up 14 points. S&P 500 is down just over 2 points. And the Russell 2000 is down a little over 5. Now, I got to tell you, when I first saw the charts this morning, there was surprise written all over my face. I thought this tax plan from President Trump would be well received by the street. Maybe they're so happy they just don't want to look greedy. I don't know. But it seems a little odd to me. I do hope John makes it on so I can get his opinion on it, and I hope Garrett makes it on so I can get his opinion as well. Now, there's no movers or shakers here in the U.S. Everything's red except the NASDAQ, interestingly enough, up almost 15 points. Crude oil is down $1.23. That's 2.5%, trading at $48.39. Gold is up today, $2.30, trading $12.66.50. In the Asian markets, the Nikkei closed down 37 points, Shanghai closed up 11 points, and the Hang Seng closed up 120 points. The closest thing I have to a mover and a shaker there for you would be the Hang Seng, which closed up 0.49%, so that's almost half of 1%. And in Europe, blood red. FTSE closed down 51 points, DAX closed down 29 points, and the CAC closed down a little over 16 points. The only mover and shaker there would be the FTSE, which closed down about 0.75%. So all of Europe is red. Asia is green except for the Nikkei, which was down 0.19%. Not a big deal. Everything's red in the U.S. except for the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ's really been on a tear. And gold, shining brightly, up $2.40. We'll take this opportunity right now, if Michael is ready. This little circle up here where it says, what is your goal? I wrote last night on our blog, which is, I don't do that every day. I write on the Google Plus blog mostly because that's sort of a semi-automated process. When I put it on our blog, which then puts it on iTunes and all kinds of podcast networks and news networks, it takes a little more time since we added video. I have to upload the video over at one place, and I mean, there's a lot of technical stuff that you don't care about. But if you get a chance, there's a video that runs about, I don't know, 59 minutes, and it elaborates on what little bit I wrote when we all first looked at the markets. Our eyes got big, and we saw the money, and we saw the freedom, and then we dove in head first and quickly realized that getting 2 points out of the market was not the big deal, because the S&P, and I show you this in the video, that's not the issue, getting 2 points. It's all the noise between your ears that holds you back. And so I give you a good talking to about goal setting for Emini traders. I hope you'll take some time, if not today or tomorrow, over the weekend, to read. It'll take you 5 minutes to read it, but then watch the video if you can, because I do throw in a little bit of a recap on the Concierge alerts, but it's not a typical Concierge alert video. So anyway, that's why it says up there, what is your goal? I want you to reflect on that throughout today's show. So, and how does that goal differ from your original goal when you decided to try your hand at trading? Michael?
Okay.
It's all yours. And I put the B in burner for you.
Thank you. I saw that.
Yeah. I sure did.
All right.
Okay, I can see your charts. Let me expand it over here. I'll hit mute, and I'll be standing by when you're done.
Excellent. All right. Here we go. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 27th day of April, 2017. First, if you have not taken a free trial with us, we've made it very easy for you to take a free trial. You just go to the homepage at CFRN.net, and right here where it says "Want to learn how to trade," put in your email, put in your name, and click there. Just click there. That's all you got to do. Put in your email, put in your name, and click there. Once you do that, you'll be sent a confirmation link. You must click on the confirmation link. Okay? You have to click that link. Otherwise, we don't know you did it. Right? So make sure you click on that link. All right. Next. Spreadsheet. Today. On the 27th. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today we made 14 ticks in the euro and 2 ticks in crude. That brought us up to 107.5. Today it took us 80 minutes and 8 opportunities to get to 107.5. That was our goal. Then we got up above it. We were at 187.5 at one point, and then we stopped out on gold. Bring us back down to 107.5. So we took a total of 10 opportunities this morning. So on the month now, 2,773. That's over 18 days, averaging 154 a day. Okay. And on the year, 12,472. That's over 79 days, averaging 157 a day. That's one contract, 2 hours. Okay. All right. Let me minimize that, and we'll get in here and show you what we did or didn't do. All right. So it started out here. We missed that one and that one. And we changed directions. We got over here, we got 2 ticks profit on that. And 6 ticks on that to put us at +8. And then we stopped out right here to put us back at 0. Okay. And that was all we did on the gold today. You can see here during the break, it pretty much flattened out. We're not really trending at all. So I wouldn't have done anything there during the break. Okay. The euro. We started out here on the euro. We had 4 ticks profit on this one. Then we had a break even there. Then 4 ticks profit on this one. Put us at +8. Then 6 ticks profit on this one to put us at +14. Then we missed that one and that one. And then it totally flattened out on us. During the break, it had a little bit of movement. It would have had a long from right here during the break. A long from right there is all there was. Okay, and crude oil. We started out here missing this one on crude. Then we stopped out on this one to put us at -2. Then we had a break even. We missed that one. And we got 10 on this one to put us at +2. Okay. Let's see, during the break, I suppose you could have shorted right there. Probably would have been a break-even trade. Did not put in a lower swing, did not continue the trend, and now crude oil has gone flat. The NQ, we didn't have a single thing on the NQ today. Now the ES was going down into a zone here most of the morning. Okay, you see right here. First of all, the ES was, it had lower highs and higher lows, meaning it was not trending. So we couldn't really do anything with it. Hang on, let me pull this away here. Yes. But you can see here it's been in and out of this zone for the last 2 hours, just about. And that made anything on the NQ pretty much a non-starter. Alright, so we didn't do anything with the NQ today. The NQ did have some movement. Let me back it out like that. You see, it did have some movement in there today, but that was it. Alright, okay. And did I see the 60 this morning when Draghi was speaking? I did not. I was asleep when Draghi was speaking. But yes, it was volatile. It had big movement down here, and then it whipped back and forth. And there was really, unless you were doing like the 137s or the 164s, you know, when it whips around like this, you really can't do anything because the cycle's not right. But right here, when the cycle was down, there was plenty of opportunity in there when the cycle was down, and one bounce over here when the cycle was up. Okay. All right. Okay. And that's it. All right. So with that, we'll go over this one more time. Again, if you're going to read the spreadsheet, you can read all the CFTC risk disclosure stuff down at the bottom. On today is 427. Today's 427. Made 14 ticks in the euro, 2 ticks in crude. Today it took 80 minutes and 8 opportunities to get to 107.50. The goal is always to get to $100 a contract, and we took a total of 10 opportunities this morning. So on the month now we're at 27.73. That's over 18 days, averaging 154 per day. Sorry. On the year, 12,472. That's over 79 days, averaging 157 per day. Okay. And that's it. Oh, nope, wait, I gotta go back here. If you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the homepage here at CFRN.net. Right here at the top where it says "Want to learn how to trade," put in your email and click there. Once you click there, then you'll be sent a confirmation link and all the information you need to take a free trial with us. Okay? And that is that. So with that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, and Dwayne overlooking the largest city park.
Very well done. Okay, you're going to push the charts?
Yep, I'm pushing them. There they go.
Now, recap of the recap.
Today it took 80 minutes and 8 trades to get to 127.50.
Good job.
Oh, you know what? I think my spreadsheet was messed up a little bit. Hang on, let me fix it.
Good job.
Yes.
Now, guys, up on my screen, you know, it just dawned on me that I have a mentoring session this afternoon, and I know that we have that other thing that we have to do. But I think as long as I end the show promptly at 2 p.m. Eastern, let me check what time that meeting is. Okay. Okay. Yeah, well, it looks like, okay, it's at 4. Our thing's at 4:30 Eastern, right?
Yes, it is at 4:30
So
Eastern.
I'm gonna call my 4 o'clock guy and ask him if we can do like 3 o'clock, and hopefully that will be a-okay. And I'll just let him know that, you know, I have no choice, that I have this commitment, and I apologize for not catching it sooner. So that's how I roll, man.
Okay. That's how we gotta roll.
Okay. All right. Amazon has launched a new Echo device. Do you have any of the Amazon Alexas or Echoes or Dots? Or...
I got one for Jake.
Yeah,
Last time I saw him.
and how does he use it? What does he do with it?
You just ask it questions and stuff like that.
Right. And it can actually almost carry on a conversation. Unlike Siri, when you ask Siri a question, Siri says, "This is what I found on the web for blah." I mean, I can run a Google search myself. I think this Alexa is more intelligent than Siri. Have you had a
I think
chance
so.
to
I mean,
play
you
with it?
have to hook it all up to things on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you want it to play music, it's gotta be able to find the music on your phone. It doesn't just automatically play it.
Doesn't Amazon have like a place where you can store music that you've bought through them?
You can, if you're an Amazon Prime member, then
Right.
Amazon has their own music collection.
Oh,
You
that's
don't
right.
Have to buy
Yeah.
it.
Okay, so I could. It was so funny. At Christmas, I went on the computer downstairs. I was going to order my wife an Amazon Alexa for her little, work area, workstation, or wherever she wanted to put it. And when I went to the Amazon site to order it, I added it, and it goes, "You already have one of these in the shopping cart. Do you want two?" And I laughed because I realized what had happened. She had already gone in to order me one. And then we discussed it and decided we didn't want that. We were just going to cancel each other out, and we were going to wait for the technology to mature a little bit, and we'll get one down the road someday. So did you get him, the one you got him, is it called Echo, or is it the Dot, or, so I'm not that familiar with it.
I don't know. It's not the super duper one.
Okay.
It was like the $50 one.
All right. Well, Amazon has launched a new Echo device that helps you decide what to wear. How many of you men have, woke up one morning and said, "Oh my gosh, I don't have a thing to wear"? If you've ever needed help getting dressed, Amazon's newest Echo device is here to help. Called the Echo Look, it's an Alexa-enabled camera that can take full-length photos or videos of you, help you build a personal lookbook, and give a second opinion on your outfit. By saying, "Alexa, take a picture," or "Alexa, take a video," the device uses its depth-sensing camera and LED lighting to capture your look and create a lookbook of all your outfits. Amazon even built in computer vision-based background blur to make your photos look more high quality. The device is now available on Amazon's website for $199.99. Amazon is also launching a feature called Style Check, which uses machine learning and a team of fashion specialists to help you compare two looks and decide which one is better. The feature is similar to one called Outfit Compare, which is available to Prime members, but an Amazon spokeswoman told Business Insider that Style Check incorporates machine learning, where Outfit Compare currently relies on the opinion of a human fashion specialist. So, now think about this. In one way it's pretty cool, and in another way it's pretty creepy, but you're home alone getting dressed, and if you have this in your walk-in closet, once you get all your clothes on, You can hit the button and a live person will actually take a look at your outfit and tell you how you look. And then I guess you can change clothes and say now which one was better. And a live human being somewhere in the world will look you over and tell you what looks best. Yeah, a little creepy. The Echo Look's accompanying app will save all your outfit photos rather than clogging up your camera roll on your phone. But be advised that the photos are stored in the Amazon Web Services Cloud, AWS, until you manually delete them. The Echo Look has many of the same features as the Echo and Echo Dot, like the ability to check your calendar, weather, and commute, but more features will be coming soon. If you don't want the device watching or listening to you, you can turn the camera and microphone off by pressing a button on the side of the device. Sure you can. Amazon has recently gotten serious about expanding its fashion business. In a recent job posting for a software engineer, Amazon wrote that it wants to become the #1 online shopping destination for fashion customers. Plus, Amazon has quietly launched 7 new fashion brands and was said to be planning to introduce its own private labeled bras priced around $10 and plans to launch its own line of athletic clothing, or athleisure, it's going to be called. This is wild. And then you know, after your virtual companion helps you get dressed, you go out and get into your flying car that we've been talking about all week, and away you go into the future. We're living in the future right now. You guys realize that. I know you do. Taxi app Jet has acquired rival Juno for $200 million to help it compete with companies like Uber and Lyft. Juno is based in New York City. And in New York City, to be a regular yellow cab taxi driver kind of guy, you have to buy a medallion. There's only so many issued. And the last I heard, it cost about $150,000 to buy a medallion, and you can't get one from the city now because they're maxed out. So you have to find some retiring cabbie who is willing to sell his, or they just want to get out of the taxi game. And so there's a secondary market for the buying and selling of these medallions. Pretty wild. Twitter's revenue declined for the first time last quarter. However, it still managed to beat expectations across the board. More than $3 billion has now been pledged to projects on Kickstarter. If you've never been to Kickstarter, if you've heard about it and really don't know how it works, you should check it out. Kickstarter, just like it sounds, one word.com. The company will celebrate its 8th birthday on Friday. Samsung has shrugged off the Galaxy Note 7 debacle and a corruption scandal to post its best quarterly profit in 3 years. Its January to March operating profit was $9.9 trillion. That's not possible. In parentheses, it says 8.75 billion. That I can believe. 9.9 trillion, I don't think that's possible. A mysterious pair of Google headphones have shown up in FCC filings. The headphones look pretty basic, over-the-ear cans with Bluetooth and an optional wired connection. Now, why do Some photos of a mysterious pair of Google-branded headphones have been passed around on Reddit and gadget blogs. Now, I've told you guys about Reddit, Reddit, and to use it in a sentence, it would be like, I read it on the internet. Reddit.com. Some refer to it as the front page of the internet. These headphones look like nothing special. I'll show you a picture of them. But for some reason, somebody thinks it's a real big deal. I'm assuming they're trying to compete with Apple's Beat headphones, which is the most ridiculous thing in the world. I mean, they're $200 for a pair of headphones, and maybe I just don't have an ear, but the earbuds that came with my iPhone, they sound just as good to me as those $200 Beat headphones. I don't own a pair of Beat headphones. I've listened to them in the store, and I mean, maybe it sounds a little better, but yeah, Arizona passes. Spotify has acquired blockchain startup Media Chain. The value of the deal was not disclosed. Now remember, we talked about this maybe last week, that any new startup that has blockchain in the name, that is like blockchain and fintech, those are like the hot buzzwords. There were numerous hot buzzwords in the late 90s, early 2000s. If you had tech or net or any number of things like that in your company name, it was almost guaranteed that you would have a successful IPO. Whether people would show up and actually buy stuff and spend money, well, we know how that turned out. Berlin has rejected Google's new campus building. Residents in Kreuzberg say the startup hub will be too loud, while the council is concerned about how high Google wants to make the building. Too loud. Billionaire venture capitalist Chris Sacca. If you don't know him, I believe he's the guy that invented GoPro, the little camera you wear on your head. But I do know that he shows up occasionally on Shark Tank as a visiting shark. He's not part of the regular cast, but from time to time he shows up. He's also leaving the Shark Tank show. He's 45, and he is a billionaire, and he's going to take it easy. And last year, Mark Benoff took a 60% pay cut to his $33 million pay package to appease Salesforce investors. Salesforce is also going to stop paying for Benoff's personal security detail in the new fiscal year. This guy makes $33 million a year. Sure, he's worth every penny of it. Now, I'm not really familiar with Salesforce. It is software as a service, and I think it's designed to help your sales force get more sales. It helps you stay organized, and when you call up a client, you remember to say, "How's Betty and the kids?" "Yeah, right. Is Jeff still the quarterback?" "Oh, he's the starting quarterback now." "Oh, okay." That kind of stuff. Big deal. Quite frankly, I could use something like that. But I think the one time I looked into it, it was rather spendy. So, again, Arizona passed. In other earth-shaking news, President Trump, that tab's not playing nice. We'll give it a minute to see if it can get its act together. Here we go. President Donald Trump has a plan to stop North Korea, and it doesn't sound much different from past efforts. According to a statement from his top officials, here's the plan. The president's approach aims to pressure North Korea into dismantling its nuclear, ballistic missile, and proliferation programs by tightening economic sanctions and pursuing diplomatic measures with our allies and regional partners. While the statement acknowledges that past efforts have failed to curb North Korea's nuclear program, it essentially promises to continue the same efforts that have failed. In fact, this statement from Trump is almost indistinguishable from the Obama-era strategic patience. Oh, have you heard? President Obama is coming out of he's been on a break since he left the Oval Office. He will be making a speech here in the coming few days for some big investment firm on Wall Street, and he's going to be paid. The speech, I'm assuming, will run about an hour. They'll probably throw in a free dinner. $400,000 for the speech of the ex-president. He is following in the footsteps of Bill Clinton quite well, it appears. I mean, first speech coming out of the gate, $400,000. That's pretty sweet. Now, there's a lot of controversy over how President Obama handled Wall Street during both terms, all the deals he cut with the too big to fail banks and insurers, how he promised so much money to homeowners to save them from foreclosure, when in fact that money ended up in a slush fund for bankers. The people that were supposed to get bailed out, the little guys, they never saw a dime of it. They just got their stuff put out on the street and were told to get along. But, you know, if you were too big to fail, you got some of that money. Okay, back to the topic. Trump is almost indistinguishable from the Obama-era strategic patience that the Secretary of State and Vice President Mike Pence declared dead on separate trips to Asia. Senators who attended Wednesday's classified briefing on North Korea, remember yesterday we were talking about the big meeting at the White House, described it as reviewing old non-specific information, and in one case, one of the people in attendance said it was a dog and pony show. Nowhere in Trump's official statement does he return to the hawkish rhetoric that Secretary of Defense Mattis, Tillerson, and Pence have all espoused about North Korea on separate trips to Asia. The new plan focuses more on sanctions, which have been in place for decades and, well, don't work. But the threat from North Korea has grown, and the past approaches of presidents just may not cut it anymore. On April 15th, North Korea rolled out a wide array of new missile types that stunned non-proliferation experts. Some estimate that within 2 to 3 years, North Korea will begin testing an intercontinental ballistic missile that could strike Washington, and no current missile defenses could stop such an attack. This is from a country where the guy can't get a decent haircut, and most of the citizens are near starvation. Simply put, Trump's strategic patience, by another name, worked for other presidents, but unfortunately, the critical moment that demands action on North Korea may fall during Trump's term. A senior military analyst said that if North Korea achieved an ICBM, it would represent a point of no return in multilateral relations with the Kim regime. Essentially, the U.S. would be forced to continue sanctions and hope for a major breakthrough in missile defense, launch an all-out war with an adversary that can level Washington, or cave to North Korea, perhaps the world's worst abuser of human rights, and accept them as a legitimate state and a player in Northeast Asia. All of the options that I just mentioned are terrible, and while presidents before Trump could afford to kick the can down the road, Trump may have to be the one to make the terrible choice of simply wiping him off the map before he stubs his toe and wipes the world off the map. The Trump was busy tweeting today. In a series of tweets, he attacked Democrats over their requests for the spending bill to prevent a government shutdown. "I promise to rebuild our military and secure our border," Trump tweeted. "Democrats want to shut down the government." Politics. Current funding bill for the federal government expires tomorrow, and if a spending bill is not passed, parts of the federal government will shut down. Now, the last time this happened, there was much ado. I mean, it was every time you turned on the TV or radio, people were freaking out. This time, no one seems to be that concerned. As families prepare for summer vacations, international parks, Democrats threaten to close them and shut down the government. Terrible, Trump tweeted. While Republicans hold a majority in both chambers of Congress, Democrats could filibuster a spending bill in the Senate. One of the biggest hang-ups in the negotiations has come over Obamacare, the law formerly known as the Affordable Care Act. Yes, that would be the act that jacked the insurance premiums for myself and my wife to $2,700 a month. The Affordable Care Act. Democrats have expressed a desire to include funding for Obamacare's cost-sharing reduction payments in the spending bill. The payments to insurance companies offset the cost of offering lower-cost insurance plans to poorer Americans and help stabilize the insurance market. Currently, funding for the payments comes from the White House, and Trump has threatened to end them. Most health policy experts agree that if these payments were halted, insurers would abandon Obamacare's insurance exchanges, and many Americans would either lose health insurance or see their costs skyrocket. Well, I've already seen the skyrockets. I want an answer to the problem. Amid the uncertainty from the White House over the payments, Democrats have attempted to lock them in as a congressional appropriation. Trump, in his tweet storm, called funding the payments bailing out insurance companies. He echoed tweets from Wednesday and earlier tweets. Republicans have introduced legislation that would extend government funding through next week to provide negotiations more time so that we can work something out. And this really is last but not least. A $16 billion investor is making a huge bet on Wall Street's hottest business. Value Act Capital, the $16 billion activist fund led by Jeff Ubben, I'm not familiar with that name, has taken a 5% stake in private equity giant KKR. The AUM at this company is on a huge ramp, according to Mason Morfitt. We strongly believe this thing is a 50-cent dollar. Okay? Morfitt said the move of active equity money to passive funds would be bullish for KKR. The trend is very much in favor of the big, and I think the big will get bigger. The position is valued at around $750 million. The presentation by Morfitt followed KKR's first quarter earnings release. The company reported distributable earnings per share of 43 cents, a performance Credit Suisse said it viewed as a positive. On the company's earnings call, a KKR executive said they welcomed ValueAct's ownership stake, stating they like to have smart investors and believe the firm has a shared vision and understanding for KKR's future based off previous interactions. KKR said it has $138 billion in assets under management as of March 31st, and now they're being handed another $750 million. I hope they spend it wisely. I hope they use a hard stop. Seriously. Okay. Now we're going to move on to other stuff. I need to get this open. And once I get that open, I can open this. No, that's not what I wanted. Okay, that's what I wanted. Now I can open the chat box and see what you guys are up to. Hey, good afternoon to you too, Pete. Where does the time go? CFRN? John B? I don't know, brother. Did you see the 6E this morning when Draghi was speaking? Oh, that's when Michael said he was sleeping when Draghi was speaking. I haven't read or heard what he said, so that will be something for me to take a look at later today. Also from John B., President Reagan spoke in Japan after leaving office and was given in the $1 million area, if my memory is correct. Wow. That's amazing. I think the president's salary is currently, I think it's $400,000 a year. So to be fair to Obama, it does happen in both parties. Yes, you're absolutely right. Now this link that you gave me, House Speaker Ryan, no decision on healthcare vote. That's out of Reuters. Boy, I hope they do settle that thing eventually. Okay, these are the current weekly zones on the S&P. And by the way, if you can't see the chart I have up, if you're just listening to the audio stream and you would like to see the charts, go to our homepage at cfrn.net. On the right hand side of the page, click the big microphone. On the next page it will say watch live now. Click that, and you'll have to answer a couple questions, and then you'll be able to see the charts and hear the audio. Unfortunately, as Michael mentioned, you'll have to do it again on Monday because every month the link changes. So if you do it on the first day of the month, you get 30 or 31 days for about 30 seconds of your time answering those couple of questions. And then you get an email every day that tells you the radio show starts in 1 hour. Whenever you're ready to join the show, click here. So after you register that first day, whatever day it is in the month, then for the remainder of the month, you get in with one-click access. So that's pretty cool. Now the markets are starting to rally. If someone has seen some news that, I thought this is what we should have been doing all day. Yeah, John, I hope. Oh, I've looked into a couple of those. John just shared with me a link, christiancare.org/Metashare. And it's MEDI. Here, let me just put the link in the chat box. That would be a smart thing to do so that everybody can take a look at it. I looked at it, but there was, I don't know, people I talked to said it had worked for them. My wife was for it. I can't remember now exactly what the reasons were why I was against it. It's been probably a couple years since I looked at it. There's a couple of these, and basically, for those who don't know, people of the Christian faith pool their money together, and when somebody gets sick, the hospital bill gets paid for out of the pool, or some percentage of the bill gets paid out of the pool. If you follow that link, you'll find out how that one works exactly. And I just can't remember at the moment what it was that when it came down to decision time, we decided not to go with it. Now, just because we decided not to go with it doesn't, mean anything. Everybody should make their own decision. And if you're not aware that this is an option available to you, you should check it out. John, do you know if it meets the requirement? When I got hit with that $2,700 premium, I went with a different type of insurance, which was only $800 and change per month, but it doesn't qualify as a what's the term I'm looking for? It doesn't suit the requirements of the government, so I'm going to have to pay some small penalty because I didn't go with the $2,700 premium. So whether it meets those regulations or not, that would be a good question. And then the next question is, how much is the penalty? I mean, it's not like you committed a crime. Well, I guess in a sense you did, but it's just it's like getting a parking ticket or a speeding ticket. You did the crime, you got to pay the fine. So. But I appreciate you bringing that up because there may be a lot of people who are not aware that that is an option. And again, I don't know if it qualifies. Yeah, I second that emotion. John says, I hope it helps someone. So I just sent it out to everybody. So in the chat box, you can grab that link and save it, put it in a tab somewhere. Whatever you do with links, do it. Man, look at this thing, rock and roll here. And it did it in the last 10 minutes of most of it, I believe, happened in the last 10 minutes of the hourly candle. Remember yesterday, or the other day I used to talk about it all the time, when I was using an hourly chart. Now, for those of us who trade futures, and use the 24-hour Globex chart like I do, the market opens at the top of the hour. So you get a new hourly candle at the top of the hour. If you trade regular trading hours like Wall Street, the old 9:30 to 4 p.m. schedule, then if you're running an hourly chart, you get a new candle at the bottom. If you're running an hourly chart, regular trading hours, your first candle starts at 9:30, your second candle starts at 10:30. So in case you never thought of that, that's one more thing to cloud your thinking with. But again, let me do this. Let me take this and let me go down to 10 minutes. And I'll get rid of this for a moment just to clear our field of vision. And I think I actually want a 1 minute to make my point. Let's look at a 1 minute chart. Okay, currently it's 1:02 Eastern. It's 10:02 where I'm at because I'm on Pacific time. It actually appears that the bulk of this, now you've heard me say the last 10 minutes or the first 10 minutes of the new candle. Although I lean more towards the last 10 minutes of a candle. In second place is the first 10 minutes of the new candle. And that's what this was. This was the first 10 minutes of the new candle. And let's go back to 12 o'clock. Right there on that red candle. So this represents the entire hour from 12 noon to 1 p.m. Eastern. And then at 1 o'clock, actually at 13:01, and over the last couple of minutes we've gone silent, and I'm not even looking at the S&P. Oh boy, I'm sure somebody in the audience told me. Yeah, I just wasn't looking at the chat box. Okay, let's try that again. Using the S&P, also known as the correct chart. Okay. So 12 o'clock is right there. And 11:59, I'm sorry, 12:59 is right there. So I guess we can certainly say that these last, now my theory is the last 10 minutes. So let me put another marker at 12:50 right there. Last 10 minutes, the first 10 minutes. On the S&P, this proved to be true. In the last 10 minutes, we went from 2383.50, so we'll just call that 23, we'll call it 2384, and the high was 2388.50. So in the last 10 minutes, we ran 4.5 points, and that's 84, and that's 79. So I don't know, I guess do you get my picture here, guys? This was a good opportunity for me to show this and explain it. Okay, that last link that I put in from chministries.org, that was from TL. Thank you, TL. He says, if you haven't looked into this one, you should. This one does meet the requirements to have health care under Obamacare. So the second link I put in, I'll put it in again just to make sure you have it. And John, is that you in the background?
It sure is. Hi.
Hey.
I didn't.
Good. Welcome to the show.
Late today.
No, that's
Great.
all right. No problem. No problem.
Okie doke. Well, actually, I kind of missed an opportunity earlier on because, as you can probably tell from my comments the last few days, I've kind of developed a really good intraday indicator that gave us a sell signal. You know, I mentioned that we were getting a bit of a sell signal yesterday afternoon. I mean, you never know how much these things are going to, what kind of results is going to occur. But it was a tradable signal, and we did go down overnight. But then the market came up a little bit this morning. But the Nasdaq was very, very strong, going to a new high. And when that happens, 9 times out of 10, it's usually a bet the market's going to eventually go higher. So we actually had a very good buy signal developed this morning off this slightly slight weakness that started out early in the day.
You know, I thought the street would go crazy over this tax plan.
Well, remember, we had a 500-point move or 600-point move almost ahead of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Right now, in a way, what's happening here, you know, we had a sort of a little head and shoulders, intraday head and shoulders develop on the TNA and the S&P and that's starting to get negated now to the upside. That's usually a pretty bullish development. And remember, there's the shutdown and a few other issues going on that are kind of slightly negative to the market. So that's probably what held it back. But it seems the way the market just popped up here a short while ago is fairly encouraging because having remember what happened yesterday. We made a double top. There was a little bit of divergence up at those high levels that pushed the market down a bit, but the fact that we've turned back up now and are already making new highs in the Nasdaq and the semiconductors, it's pretty positive. And so there's a pretty good chance that we will rally. If we get through, unless something unexpectedly negative develops in the next day or two, it looks like we're going to close another strong week.
Yeah.
And remember what I said a couple of days ago, it is an absolute provable fact that normally when you get a surge into the end of April, it can really power into May.
Did the Nasdaq put in a new all-time high again today?
It sure did. It's up 30 points now. This is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Futures
Yeah.
are up 30 points, and everything's turned positive. So it's really looking.
Now, at the
very
beginning of the
bullish.
show, when I go through the numbers, so it's probably 12:10 Eastern, everything in the U.S. was red except the Nasdaq, which at the time was up 14 points. So in an hour, it's doubled. Yeah.
Exactly, and the whole scenario has turned quite bullish again now. So it really looks very bullish, actually. For what could be quite a strong and sustained run, because remember this tax cut. Look, sometimes it takes people a while. It takes a while for the penny to drop with people.
Mm-hmm.
And you've had the Democrats making all kinds of negative comments. I mean, the first thing that everybody says is, "Oh, how terrible! How much is Trump going to make out of it?" I mean, it's so ridiculous. It is incredible tax plan. They haven't. I believe that the ceiling on for a family now is so every family should be able to earn $24,000 tax free before the 10% kicks in.
Mm-hmm.
That's not as good as it was before. It was 50,000, but still, it's a lot. It gives I guess it enables everybody to earn a certain amount without having to pay any tax, and that's really good for poor people because they're not, it's not taking bread and butter off the table kind of thing. So it's enabling people to at least get by without the burden of any tax whatsoever, except for the regular, the Social Security stuff like that. So that's a win. It's not as good as it could be, but given the overall enormity of the tax cut, it's a pretty good deal. So you have to see where these other brackets kick in, but they have to be realistic. They can't give away the store. They've got to get some revenues, otherwise they are going to have a multi-trillion deficit. But this could definitely. It is, in terms of simplicity, it's brilliant. It cuts out all this lobbying, all these restrictions, and all these loopholes. It looks pretty fair. It looks like a very fair system, and it's very geared towards the corporate, because it's probably going to encourage a lot of people to form corporations to reduce the burden of even the higher, the 25% tax rate, or the 35% tax rate for some people. So
one complaint I heard from the street, as in Wall Street, was that there was no clear definition in the plan as to what would happen if companies like Google and Apple repatriate their dollars. What kind of deal they're going to be cut?
Oh, I think that's a 10% deal.
Is it?
At worst 15%, but I think it's 10%.
Okay.
It might be as much as 15, but I don't think it's going to be any more than that. Otherwise it's kind of a non-starter. But I think they can definitely live with 10, and they might even go to 15. So 15 would be a pretty big deal.
Obama's getting $400,000 for his first speech on Wall Street. Here in the next few days.
Considering he said he wasn't going to do that, and now he's changed his mind.
Well, someone in the audience mentioned that Reagan got $1 million to go and do a speech in Japan after he left office. So
that's right. That was a long time ago. That was when $1 million was worth a lot more than today. So
yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's. I don't know why anybody would want to pay Obama.
What in the world could that man possibly have? He practically destroyed the greatest nation on the face of the earth, and now they want to pay him $400,000. It just makes no sense. What could he possibly say? It has to be. You know how some men have what they call, ladies, please don't take offense, because I don't use this term, but some men have what they call trophy wives. Maybe this investment firm, it's just a notch on their, belt that they had a previous president speak at their annual dinner or something.
Yeah. That's what happens at a lot of these conferences and that,
Well, when they asked Bill Clinton why he made that speech in the Congo or wherever it was, where human brutality is a way of life, they said, why did you accept $700,000 to speak in such a horrible place? And his answer was, because that's what they offered. So all the people are starving to death, but they can pay him $700,000 to come and make an hour after dinner speech. It's insanity. It really chaps my hide when I see that kind of money thrown around. When I've been to Africa, and I've been in the Appalachia. There's severe poverty here at home. Nothing like the poverty that exists in Africa, because at least in America, if you are very poor and live in the Appalachians, you can avail yourself to social services, to the food stamp program. You can get medical help. There's a lot of services that even the poorest of the poor can get. In Africa, it doesn't exist. In African hospitals, they put 2 people to a bed. Not two. We complain in America if we have to share a room with somebody at the hospital. They put 2 people in one bed in African hospitals, and then there's people lying in the hallways and out on the grounds outside. And that money could have been spent, on a little penicillin and maybe some AIDS drugs. But no, let's give it to Bill Clinton. So I'm sorry, that was my rant for today. I'll let you talk.
Well, I might comment on a few things that have happened overnight. First of all, there's a big disconnect. I think they really somehow the mainstream media has managed to manipulate these polls to make Trump look bad. Like the worst president in the first 100 days, which is a total disconnect from the reality. This guy's, the fact of the matter is the markets are up about $4 trillion in value. That's never happened before. The economic conditions indicator is the highest in almost ever, and certainly in the last 10 years. And normally the president benefits from that. I think the reason why the polls are not as good as is because he's an unconventional president, and I think it just people haven't gotten used to him yet. They will in time get used to him, but because he's so different from all the other presidents, I think that's probably been detrimental to him, but not necessarily, meaningfully, if you like. What's more interesting, and this is why these polls are so crazy. I mean, it's one of the guys on one of these shows who was a Trump. He was very successful in Pennsylvania, I think, winning that state. He was the head of the campaign there, and he just said, "Look," he said, "this is the same as the election. All the polls were wrong, and he won the election. So this is all a lot of nonsense." The way they're manipulated, and the way they ask these questions, it's all manipulated. The only poll that's halfway decent is Rasmussen, and he's somewhere between 46 and 50% on that one. Albeit he's lower, but nevertheless, and I mean, you can take a lot of comfort in the fact that, according to the Washington Post, which is probably the most negative paper on him, they was conceded that if the election were held today, he'd win outright. Right, he'd probably win with a lot more states, and the popular vote as well. So I don't think he has to worry. And I think over time he will gain substantially. But it's just look, all these previous presidents, almost every one of them started out strong and ended up weak. And I think he's the first guy who's already started out weak and is probably going to end pretty strong. In time, the second thing is they interviewed about a dozen, mainly Democrats. This is very important. These are Democrats for Trump, right? They're people who used to vote Democrat or who've never voted before, and they all ended up voting for Trump. So, if they're doing these polls and they're talking to Democrats and the Republicans, we know the Republicans like Trump, right? But how come the polls are so skewed? Guess what the results of interviewing these Democrats were? And this is all in states that swung massively from Obama to Trump on almost unprecedented swings, biggest political swings in decades. Every one of these people gave him an A or more, even an A+, that said he was doing a great job. There was only one guy who didn't. And so 11 out of 12. and they all said, they were willing to give the guy a chance, and they liked the way he was doing it. There was a few complaints here and there, but in general, all of these Democrats were giving him high marks. So they interviewed some kids, some students from Texas, so I think A&M or somewhere, and the same thing. All these students, they were all for Trump. I mean, it just doesn't compute. It's crazy, and they're lambasting him every night on these shows, and that's really the problem. The press has created a big negative aura about Trump, and extremely undeserving in my view. But you know what? I think that after a while, the people are gonna, if they're not seeing through it already, and just by the comments of these people, they're seeing through it. That they're going to get tired, and I think the Democrats are going to self-destruct, because if they keep this negative attitude up for too long, I mean, that's why Trump was voted into office, because to shake things up, and people were tired of this partisan Washington. I mean, they're sick to death of it, and it's worse than ever right now. And also we are in a very polarized. This is the most polarized country's ever been. So all of these things are reasons why these polls are skewed, but they are really not telling the real story. And if the more things that Trump fixes over time, the more kudos he's going to get, and I think he's going to earn his stripes. And some people even had the audacity to say he's not working hard enough.
Oh,
and this
my
guy only
goodness!
sleeps 4 hours a night.
How in the world could anybody say that about this guy? He did more before he was sworn in than some presidents do in their entire term.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, you know what? Cream floats to the top, and he just keeps his head down. He keeps executing and keeps building and making America better. And a lot of people were complaining about that the Democrats were inhibiting his ability to make, he's working for the benefit of the country, and the Democrats are a distraction and a detraction from that, and it's very sad to see. So, and some of the comments that they made about this tax cut, oh my God. They just can't see anything decent. They just can't see any benefit in anything. They're almost brain dead. It's like, and then they go on about this Russia thing. Oh, by the way, this is my own line today. I didn't see any of these voters saying the Russians made me vote for Trump. You know what I mean? I mean, that when you think about it, it's such a preposterous idea that the Russians had any influence on the election whatsoever. Do you really think that any red-blooded American is gonna be swayed by what the Russians think? I mean, not in a million years.
Speaking. No, go ahead.
I mean, the whole thing is just absolutely pathetic, and they're trying to seize on. Okay, it's all about Flynn just because he sat down with Putin at a lunch, a couple of years ago. Big deal. It was a TV station event. What the heck? Right. And kudos to Putin. He's created. If you ever watch RT, it's a pretty good. It's a pretty good. A long time ago, Al Jazeera used to be a terrible, terrible network. It's actually a pretty good news network today, and so is RT. They're all in the competitive business, and they've got to deliver a good product. And you get a lot better information watching some of these, unusual news sources than watching CNN. I'm listening to all the garbage that's heaped on everybody every day from that network.
I don't know if you can see the screen or not, but going back to you were talking about the polls. I wrote an article the other night, and the subheadline was "Figures Lie and Liars Figure." So if anyone wants to Google that, just throw CFRN on the end of that, and it will take you down to, there's 3 different links. You can go to our blog, you can go to the Google Plus blog, or you can go to iTunes, and that one made it on iTunes. So Figures Lie and Liars Figure. So it's true. I mean, and the reason I was writing that article was because people are always saying, show me your statistics, show me your track records. And my answer is on the concierge alerts. Now, we do a spreadsheet on the live training room because everybody is there. There's an audience that's watching us, and they can see the DOM and they can see, the trades and everything. So that's put on a spreadsheet. But when I send out the concierge alerts, there's 8 markets, 2 trades per market. So that's 16 trades total. And important prices and important areas are almost always tested. So most of those trades that trigger will trigger multiple times in a day. And in the article I said, if you want numbers, I could create a spreadsheet, a pie chart that would just, blow your hair back. However, I know that it's not possible for any one person to take every one of those trading opportunities that happens throughout the day. I'm simply putting everybody on high alert. If crude gets to this price, you best be long, and if it gets to this price, you best be short. And those who become clients, I work with them one-on-one in mentoring sessions to learn how to set their stop, because the chart tells you where the stop should be. And sometimes the way the market is structured at the moment, it requires too much risk to take that particular trade. So you have to just pass, walk away, and wait for it to trigger again, and hopefully this time the amount of risk required is appropriate. And I also teach them how to use the chart to determine where a target area should be and where they should start to really tighten up the stops. So I said I could do like everyone else does and cheat and lie, but I'd rather be honest and tell you that rather than, feed you a bunch of numbers that are actually true, put it on a pie chart, make it look really flashy and splashy. Why not come take the 5-day trial where you actually get the email and you actually can trade the trades in the simulator on your trading platform. And this way, you're not depending on me to tell you how good it is or somebody else. Just because I might make money out of it and 10 other people might make money out of it, that doesn't mean you're going to make money out of it. People, the reason so many people take advantage of so many people with this whole trading business on the internet thing is because people allow themselves to be taken advantage of. People, in some cases, they want to be lied to. They want to be sold pie in the sky. It just makes them feel good to know that, they can make $4,972.36 in their boxer shorts before the wife has breakfast ready. Just follow this simple plan. And it's normally $9,000, but today, for you, we're going to make it just $79. Send your money before midnight tonight and we get it sooner, kind of thing. That stuff just ticks me off to no end. It really does. But I'm sorry. I'm ranting again.
It's okay. Well, right now, we're right at an all-time high on the Nasdaq, and looking like we're still going to go higher, unless something particularly difficult happens here. I mean, you have to be mindful that there are a couple of things that could knock the market down, either temporarily or for a little bit longer. But other than that, it's looking pretty good. The transports are very strong also. And the healthcare sector, remember we remarked about that, that's actually breaking out to new highs today.
Oh, really?
And, yep.
Now, Pete just commented, New York Times front page writes, tax overhaul would aid wealthiest. The rich will lose the state and local taxes off. So New York, LA, and New Jersey rich are freaking out. They will pay more in taxes. Isn't that what Bernie and Senator Warren wanted? I didn't see the article. I'm just quoting. Thanks for that, Pete. I don't know the answer to that, to be honest with you.
By the way, remember the other day we mentioned about Gilead Sciences around
Yes.
$66.
Uh-huh.
It just hit it's almost a 69 now, so it's up almost $3. It's starting to look very good. And most of the, and let's have a look at ICPT. Look at ICPT. It looks like it's ready to take another leg to the upside. It's just consolidating around 115 from about 104 up to 115. Quite a good move, actually, and really starting to look pretty dynamic. This stock. Another one is AGIO, which is a cancer company. That's starting to turn up. It's not running away yet, but it could develop. It's been basing out for a long time. It could develop into a big upside move. And Celgene.
Go ahead.
Celgene is another one that's probably about to break out to the upside. And after a bit of a pullback, Insight Pharmaceuticals, which ran up to 150, pulled back to about 150, 125, looks to me like it's about ready to take another leg to the upside, this stock. But the healthcare sector in general looks to be, it's actually one of the strongest sectors today. And so does the transports, for that matter, which is a very bullish sign.
Something I'd mentioned earlier today, how the street's going to react to this tax plan. Some of the world's biggest hedge funds and biggest investors think private equity stocks are cheap. The one that I reported on this morning, Chase Coleman's hedge fund, Tiger Global, built about a 6% stake in the publicly traded units of Apollo Global, worth in excess of $600 million at current prices. Now Jeffrey Ubens, who, I'm not familiar with that name. Is that a name that's familiar to you? Jeffrey, Ubben? His company is Value Act Capital Management, is getting in on the action today at the Active Passive Investor Summit. Value Act partner Mason Morfitt disclosed the hedge fund has just taken a 5% stake in KKR, which I'm not familiar with. And so they're making roughly a $750 million investment on a day when the street is possibly undecided about, the future. Is this the top? Is the Trump rally over? Are we headed for, a pull? I mean, at this point, a 38% retracement, I think, would be very healthy. I know it would freak a lot of people out, but I think it would be very healthy for the markets in general. I mean, don't you? I mean, we've been climbing for an awful long time, and healthy retracements are part of a good bull market. I mean, we did have a retracement. We've had some retracements along the way. I'm just switching my chart now for the audience to a daily. Since the election night spike on November 9th, we've had a couple of little pullbacks, but nothing to upset the apple cart. But we're ticks away from a double top in the S&P E-mini. I show the high on the E-mini S&P 2397 and a quarter, and yesterday we hit 2394.75. So what was that? 2-3 points off the all-time high.
Yeah.
And now today we're currently at 23.86. The high today so far was 88.75. Very interesting. Where are we on gold today?
Gold is a little bit weaker. It had a good run, a good pop yesterday, but it subsequently come off. But I wouldn't read, listen, it seems to be holding in here, and the stocks are acting so, not too bad.
Well, from the low, John, on March 10th to the high on April 17th, we have hit a hang on 1 second. I thought I had that number. I just want to make sure I'm using the right number. No, I'm not. We are just shy of a 38% retracement from, again, the low on March 10th and the high on April 17th. We are just right above the 38% retracement. So, and some other lines I have on the charts that are there from other fib math that I did. Those of you who can see the screen, you see what a strong area this is that we're in right here for support. So, to break below 1257, that would be surprising to me. It really would. We're trading 1265.40 right now. That's the June contract. Anything else have your attention today? What's crude oil doing?
I was just about to remark about, listen, we've been talking about palladium being a very strong issue, and I think it just made a new high today. In fact, it's right here would be the highest in more than a decade on palladium. It's were to close here, we would be closing at a new decade, more than a decade high. Well, more than a decade high. Probably about almost a 15-year high, something like that. So, palladium is usually a leading indicator of the metals. It doesn't happen, it doesn't mean to say we're going to rally in gold tomorrow, but the more palladium rallies, the more potentially bullish it's going to be for the precious metals markets, at some point down the road. Even platinum is rallying a little bit today, which is a good thing. Platinum needs to really get going in order to light up the rest of the metals. That's acting as a bit of a drag on the market at the moment, and it doesn't look. I mean, to be honest with you, the platinum chart doesn't look that great, and even the gold chart doesn't look that. I mean, if they hold here in reverse, they could start to look very good. But they tried to do it yesterday, and so far been knocked back. So being higher than being higher in the market is not helping the gold today, and also the dollar. The dollar has bounced back a bit today too. Not too much, but enough to dampen the gold down. So.
Any thoughts on crude?
Yeah, the crude actually probably saw the bottom today. I think the 48, right about 48.20. The inventories came in lower than expected, down about 3.6 million barrels, I think, and the market still sold off, which was probably an unusual reaction. The gasoline and the heating oil came in a bit higher on the inventories, which may have dropped the market. But I think the bottom is in on the crude now, and we may actually start another pretty strong rally here, going into the end of the month and into May.
Well, last night our alert on crude was to sell 48.80, and we dropped to 48. We dropped to 48.20, so that was worth $600 per contract. However, we don't get out at the swing low or the swing high because we trail our stop. That's how we teach our students to do that, to either trade to a hard target if you want, but better as you gain more experience to use a trailing stop. You'll always leave a little on the table, but get over that. I mean, leave something for the next guy. Good karma, however you want to look at it. It allows you to maximize the potential in trades more than you might get by trading to a hard target. And so you leave some on the table, no big deal. And it was real clear that this thing, once it hit 48.20, it started to look real clear based on my 30-minute chart. And just reading the candlesticks. And a candlestick, folks, it is nothing more than a graphic representation of investor sentiment for the time frame that you are observing, whether it's a 1-minute chart, an hourly chart, a daily chart, a monthly chart. I'll say that again. It's a graphic representation of investor sentiment for the time frame that you're observing at the moment. And once I got a hold of that, and Steve Bigelow, who just as I was leaving equities and coming into futures, he was leaving futures and going into equities. I had him on the show a couple times. He sent me a copy of his book, High Profit Candlestick Patterns. I mean, this is a 400-year-old science, Japanese rice traders. It's not the latest, newest, cool thing to come down the pike, 400 years old. But out of the 200 signals they developed, he teaches that only 10 are really important, ones that you really want to watch for. You know, like the doji at the top of a long run up or a long run down, dark cloud cover, you know, I forget all the names, but I have the patterns memorized, and when I see it, it's like reading a newspaper. It's like reading a book. Those candles tell me what the herd is doing, and it's so much easier to figure out how the herd is going to react to a situation as it is a single lone individual. You need to get that? I think you got it. I know you guys have heard me say a lot of the same things over and over the last few days. That's intentional, because I really want to drive those points home. Whether you become a partner with us, whether you become a Concierge Trade Alert client, there are certain market truths that if you will not just take my word for it, okay? That's the worst thing you can do, is just take my word for it because I seem like a nice guy maybe. Or maybe I sound like I know what I'm talking about. Whatever I tell you, whatever anybody tells you, you drag that thing out into the light of day and see if it bears the light of day. Okay? Sometimes it's so easy, if you're an impressionable young man like me, if someone is tall and has a commanding voice and has a swagger when he walks, it's very easy to believe what he says as being the gospel truth. But I learned long ago, after a few mistakes, that I can't just accept something as truth because somebody else says it. No matter how much respect I have for them, I have to put it to the test. And typically that means not only looking at historical charts, but also it means trading it in the simulator, to see if it stands up, if it's an actual factual thing. And once I've done that, then I write it on the tablet of my heart. And when it comes to trading, there's only 4 or 5 things that I've written on that tablet. And so, but they're things that I know aren't going to change on me. They're going to hold true. Now, are they 100%? No, there's no such thing in trading as 100%, but they are reliable. John, did you make it back? Okay. I think he's going to be on that call for a while. So let me look at the chat box here. See what I got. Okay. As long as interest rates are very low, that may not happen. We will just keep trudging up the hill. Okay, that's from Steve V. Thank you, Stephen. Stocks, and in another comment, stocks are stronger than, let's say, the dot-com bubble, where stocks were trading at anywhere from 100 to 130 times book value on average. Yeah, I mean, it was just insanity, but they kept telling us it's different this time. Well, turns out, no matter how glamorous it is from a technical standpoint or a technology standpoint, if people don't ultimately show up and spend money, real money, there's a flaw in that business model. I don't care how different it is. So you're absolutely right there. Today's stocks are trading on an average of 5 to 25 times book value. Well said. I'm sure there are some outliers higher, but for most part, equities are pretty strong overall and could withstand a retrace, as you say. And I agree, and would offer some good prices to bring in more investors. Well, I resemble that remark. Don asks, candle patterns on a daily chart or hourly? Well, that's the beautiful thing about candlestick signals or patterns, whatever you want to call them. You can put them on a 1-minute chart, an hourly chart, a daily chart. They do the same job. The patterns themselves do the exact same job, but the larger the time frame, the more meaningful. Like if you're running a weekly chart and the market's been climbing, for a couple months, and then all of a sudden one week you end up with this huge doji at the top of that climb, I'm going to be quite anxious at the beginning of the next week to get short on a smaller time frame the market as we take out the low of that doji. Some people will wait for a day of confirmation. In other words, a red daily candle after the doji, and then on the second day after the doji, then take action. And that's perfectly fine. Waiting for confirmation is sound trading and investing. However, it does cost you a little bit. And what I mean by that is your stop, you're further away from where your stop should be after the day of confirmation. Is that you, John? Did I hear you? Okay. All right. Now, the guy that I recommend for learning candlestick patterns, you can Google, what did I call that? Let's try this. I think I remember. The Secret Life of Candles. There we go. CFRN.net. The Secret Life of Candles. And when you click it, it takes you to a site called SlideShare, and it's very humble. There's 22 slides, but it walks you through the major candlestick signals. Okay? And also remember, the larger the time frame, the more important the information that it's conveying to you. Now I think towards the end we start getting into some patterns. Yes, like dark cloud cover. You've had a bunch of green candles building, and then all of a sudden you get a red candle that overshadows that. That's a real good tell for the beginning of a sell-off. Could be just a retracement, could be a reversal, but it should be good for some points on the downside. Bullish harami. Okay, you've been coming down, red candle, and then you get a green candle, and the body is inside the body of this candle. That's very bullish, and you can wait for another green candle as confirmation, and then by the open of the next candle, whether you're on a 1 minute chart, an hourly chart, a daily chart, or a weekly chart. Although if you're looking for candlestick signals on a weekly chart or daily chart, which I think is a great idea, if the candlestick pattern on the daily chart suggests going short, I still think it's a good idea to drill down to a smaller time frame and use whatever method that you have learned, that if it's our method that we've taught you, then you would use that method to start looking for short trades and not get head faked into any long trades. Okay, you've had green candle, and then you get a red candle. Now, harami, basically, it is Japanese for with child. Imagine this is the woman, and this is the child. And they even get into stuff like, is she carrying high or is she carrying low? And that's a little above my pay grade. But the morning star, it's a bottom reversal signal. It's pretty powerful. Evening star, the kicker. You know, the kicker works well in equities, but I haven't found it to really speak to me in futures. Shooting star, green, red. Inverted hammer. In this context, it's bullish, and if you flip it around the other way, it's bearish. Oh, so here I did some actual charts, bearish engulfing, okay, and look what the market did, it sold off. Then we had a piercing pattern, it rallied, inverted hammer, and it rallied. We had a doji here, right inside of a weekly trading zone. Price had been coming down, it rallied up quite nicely. Here's a harami. See, the market had been, context is so important when you're reading candlesticks. And by context, I mean, if you get a harami as the market's going flat, then that's nothing more than a continuation signal. But when you've had price selling off, and it gets like right here, I mean, it's just ticks away from touching this zone. And this chart is from 2010. And this chart is almost 7 years old. But nothing's changed. Inverted hammer, doji, dark cloud cover. You see that? Here's a kicker. I actually found one. And I guess the last page is blank. So anyway, just Google The Secret Life of Candles and you'll see what I do with my spare time. When I used to have spare time. I don't have a lot of that these days, so it seems. Okay. It is now time for our good word for the day. Mike asks, does the shooting star on the ES daily chart yesterday show you anything with the NQ breaking all-time high? You know, I have a hard time tying the ES to the NQ. I would rather see a shooting star on the NQ. Let me take a look at what you're talking about. Okay, here's an ES daily chart. Now, this would, in candle speak, call for the market to trade lower. And initially today, this is where it opened. We opened at 81.75 and we hit a low of 78.75. So it only sold off by 3 points. Okay. And so this is, you can see, this is a perfect example of why many candlestick traders will wait for a confirmation candle. In other words, this candle closes red and then they sell on the open of the next candle. What they're doing is they're making sure this isn't just a continuation signal. Okay, and that's not a bad way to do it. Okay. Now, as far as tying this into, because this is calling for a reversal, tying this into the NQ hitting an all-time high today, no, I personally don't have any way of tying that together. Is that you, John? Usually when I hear my voice echo back, it's John, but I guess it's not. I hope that answered your question, Mike. Okay, something that may also help is Candlestick flashcards. There are a number of sites. Oh yeah, Steve Bigelow's site, which is called, gosh, it's got a real simple name. Just Google Steve Bigelow, B-I-G-E-L-O-W, Bigelow. Now, he was a guest on the show a couple times, and he was kind enough to send me one of his most recent books. It's a $50 book. I read that book until the pages fell out. It was a hardcover book, and I would take it with me to the pool when my son was taking swimming lessons, and so the heat beating down on it may have had an effect. I mean, it was a quality book. It was bound well, but I read it and referenced it and reread it and referenced it, and on the blog somewhere I actually took a picture one day of it on my desk in disarray, showing that everything I had said about the pages falling out was actually true. And Steve, he also sent me a box of flashcards on his site for, I think, a nominal fee of like $12 or something. You can buy a box of the flashcards that Pete is talking about right now. It's fun, and even my kids use them to try and show me how smart they are. Future, laughing out loud, future traders, perhaps? My kids both say that's what they want to do when they grow up, that they want to trade for a living. Plus, my son wants to go into the military. Plus, he wants to be a police officer. So, he's going to be a very, very busy guy. He's got an opportunity this summer. As you know, my studio and office overlooks America's largest city park, South Mountain. And in the park reserve is the police training academy for Phoenix. And so he has an opportunity to get a scholarship to go to this 2-week thing at the police academy. It's kind of like boot camp. And he would live there for 2 weeks and be treated just like a recruit in boot camp, with the early rising and the early to bed. And he's in junior ROTC now, so he's kind of got a taste of what the military life is like. But spending 2 weeks in this law enforcement summer camp, I'm real proud of him, you know. I mean, he didn't spring from my loins, but I love him as much as if he did. And the same goes for his sister. So, anyway. Okay, guys. Good word for the day. Now, interestingly enough, in my notes, today's teaching is funny. We were just mentioning our kids because this is a multi-part series on teaching children patience. And let's face it, men, sometimes we are the biggest child in the house. Romans 8:25, but if we look forward to something we don't yet have, we must wait patiently and confidently. Yeah, apply that to the concept of a trade setup. Okay? If you don't have it yet, wait patiently and confidently. In Romans, they were writing about life in general, but life and trading, it's a little bit odd how they line up, it seems. Waiting patiently is what life, God, and ultimately success demand. Even when we've done the right things, God requires us to wait for the results. Hebrews 10:36, you have need of endurance so that after you have done the will of God, you may receive the promise. How do we help our children develop this vitally important skill? And again, we could turn the mirror on ourselves, and some of us might be a little lacking in this area. And so whether you have children at home or not, there's a chance you might benefit from this. Writer Tammy Darling says, set clear boundaries. That's number one. For instance, say, you may have that when I've seen you wait patiently. Don't be moved by their demands. You know, sometimes when I'm out in public, and I don't ever say anything because it's not my business, but I'll see a kid ask their parent for something, and the parent says, no, it's not in the budget, or that's not good for you. It's got too much sugar in it. And so the kid throws a temper tantrum in the store or in the restaurant, wherever we happen to be. And finally the parent caves in and says, oh, okay. If it's that important to you, okay. Well, that parent is doing that child a great disservice, okay? They're not being mean. They're doing what's in the best interest of the child. I mean, if it's not in the budget, it's not in the budget. And if it's got too much sugar and it's not good for you, well, need I say more? So then we instill in the child, instead of good behaviors like budgeting and eating healthy, we instill in them, if I scream loud enough, I can get whatever I want. That is not a lesson we want to teach our children. Number 2, refocus their attention. Queuing in a shop, that means standing in line. I'm thinking somebody in England wrote this. Queuing in a shop can be an occasion for impatience. So try a guessing game like I Spy with younger kids, or get older kids talking about family holiday plans or the family vacation, or get their mind off of whatever it is, okay? Number 3, teach by example. Do you pass other motorists on the road just to get one car length ahead? Impulsively buy something on a credit card rather than wait until you have the money to buy it? Whether they're 3 or 13, your children learn by watching you. Now, I say the same thing is true with our government. We're like, I think it's $17 trillion in debt. We see our government spending money that they don't have. Well, if the government can do it, then why shouldn't I be able to? Well, just because the government's stupid doesn't mean you have to be. Number 4. Again, this is just part 1. But number 4 for today, and this is the last one. Avoid constantly saying, hurry up. Toddlers typically dawdle. And my kids certainly aren't toddlers anymore, but they are slow as molasses. And I get aggravated and agitated, and sometimes I raise my voice. It's like, what could you, we're getting ready to go to church. It's 10:15, or 9:15, service starts at 10, and I'm like, all right, guys, we're going to leave in 5 minutes. So 10 minutes later, I got no kids. I'm screaming up there, what are you doing? Well, I'll be there in just a minute. Okay, but that was 3 minutes ago that you told me that. What could you possibly be doing up there? You're already dressed. Mom's already combed your hair. What are you doing? I'll be right there. Half the time I got to go tromping up the stairs, and when they hear me tromping up the stairs, and then they come running. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on up there. Toddlers in particular, have no idea how long getting ready takes. So instead of always telling them to hurry, help them learn the process and pace of getting ready. It's time to put your toys away. It's time to get your socks and shoes on. Time to put your jacket on. Instead of frustrating them with commands to hustle, involve them in actions they understand and can handle. This teaches them how to manage time practically. Now, I'll go on to say, most all of you who are regulars in the audience know that my wife and I adopted. And while I would not call our kids special needs kids, well, they kind of are. Because Bio Mom was heavily addicted to crack cocaine when my son was born, and she was addicted to meth when my daughter was born. However, she had been in jail for 3 months prior to the birth, so a lot of it got out of her system. But this causes frontal lobe damage, and it manifests in different ways in different children. So I always have to remind myself that they need special attention, that they need me to be, a little more patient. And there's another factor too. My wife and I had turned 50 when we adopted these small children. Raising children, I think, is a young man's game. You're learning and growing together. You've just naturally got more patience. You're not set in your ways. You're not a grumpy old dude. You're full of life and excitement and the new family and growing together. And so we recognize, or we try to recognize, our own shortcomings and we try to make up for them. More than one person has told us, you're too hard on your kids. They're some of the nicest kids I've ever met in my life. And I say, well, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. But we've set a standard for them, and it frustrates us when they don't meet that standard. And people go, well, they're just kids. I've even had my daughter, I would get on to her about something, and she would look up at me and she would say, Dad, I'm just a kid. And I have to step back for a minute and realize that how true that statement is. You know, in my mind, I've already got her in university, becoming an engineer. But she's a 9-year-old little girl, and she wants to play with her dolls sometimes, or whatever it is that kids do. And I have to put myself in check. So your kids are your future. They are our future. They will become the teachers and lawyers and congressmen and presidents and opera singers of the future. Someday they too may embarrass you by being on America's Got Talent, and they ain't got no talent. So anyway, just kidding, but be nice to your kids. You know, they're only going to be kids for a while. I think about my son. He turns 15 next month. And I heard him make a comment the other day about when I turn 18 and get my own place. And I said, son, can I ask you a question? And he says, sure, Dad. I said, how are you going to pay for this place? He said, well, I guess I'll have to get a job. I go, okay. Well, I thought we were going to college. There's been talk of the military. There's been talk of law enforcement. He's like, oh, yeah. I guess I better think about this. I said, yeah, you might want to give it another thought or two, and, start a plan. Start writing down, what it is you really want to do, so that we can start establishing some goals. Where will you be in 3 months with your plan, in 6 months, and in a year, and all of that. And then we can have something concrete to work towards. And he really seemed to warm up to that concept and that idea. And then when I asked him, where's the piece of paper? He's like, I don't know. I go, well, where did you put it? I forget. Come here, son. I need to hug you before I smack you, which I don't do much smacking. I'm not into corporal punishment. I'm not above it if the situation calls for it, but he's 15. He's too old for that. Although I do remember the last spanking I got from my mother, I was 14. She said something, and I said, don't lie to me. And her eyes got as big as her head, and she said, what? I go, hey, Mom, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. And she said, lean over that pool table. We had a pool table at the time. And we had a leather strap that hung in the closet. And, yes, she did. I don't know how many whacks it was. It wasn't a lot, and it didn't hurt very bad. It was, more than anything, it was putting me in check, because I was taught to always be respectful of my elders, whether they were my parents or not. And I had violated that rule, and so the punishment fit the crime, plain and simple. All right, let's get up and get out of here, or we'll be here all day. That's what I'm talking about. The Candlestick Forum, I believe, is Steve's site. That's possible. Yeah. Just Google it, guys. You'll be able to find it. Maybe this will help some of your listeners. Long-term U.S. mortgage rates rise for the first time in 5 weeks. Ooh. From Newsroom on the Ryzen server. Okay, Pete. Yeah, I'll see you tonight. Partners Workshop tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern. If you're on a trial and your trial's coming to an end, now's the time. For the past 5 trading days, we have put at your disposal all of our tools, our platform, and all of our knowledge, and given you 2 hours a day to question everything we do, how we do it, why we do it, and you've even had opportunities for one-on-one mentoring sessions. If you become a partner, you will own the indicator set for life. You'll get 90 days of everything I just talked about, the live training room, as much one-on-one mentoring as you need, workshop every Thursday night, access to the members area of the website where there's well over 1,000 hours of live training and trading videos. You'll get the weekly trading zones every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. And we do it for a fraction of the price of the late night TV guy who wants to charge $7,000 for 5 days. He's going to teach you how to trade in 5 days. You know what? If you could actually learn how to trade in 5 days, it would be worth 70 grand. It might even be worth 700 grand. I don't know. But it's not possible. Now, a lot of people went through that 5-day thing, and then they came to us and said, wow, I learned a lot of stuff, but I still don't actually know how to trade. Can you help me? Now, I admit those have been some very good students because they understood a lot of the basic fundamental stuff about the markets and how the markets work. And the other company out there on the internet kind of got a big name, but I'm not going to call the name. But they've got that fib software. They want to charge you $10,000 for that fib software. And that software doesn't do anything that the fib software built into your trading platform. Every trading platform has got it. Now they layer and do multiple time frames, but you can do that. You might have to do a little extra. It might seem like a little extra work. It's a little more convenient, perhaps, with their software. But I promise you can do the exact same thing. And you can save yourself about $7,000, over $7,000. And you get all the other stuff that I already mentioned. Now, if you want to become a partner and a Concierge Trade Alert client, you want the whole package, we got that too. Okay? So, call Mike 949-42-EMINI. 949-42-EMINI. Now, he and I are going to be tied up in a thing we have to do today from 4:30 to 5:30, okay, Eastern. I have a mentoring session that comes up at 4, and I'm going to call him and see if it's possible for us to do that early so that I can get prepared for the thing. Sort of a big thing. It's been planned for a long time, and in fact, it's been planned for so long, and then it got put off, and he and I both almost forgot about it, but it's nothing you guys need to worry about. If you're here in the live training room and you're here on the radio even on a semi-regular basis, there's nothing going to be said that you haven't already heard a whole lot of times. So, All right, let's get after these concierge trade alerts and see if there was anything to them. The live trading room trial is here. The concierge alerts plus the live trading room plus the indicators plus the platform plus the weekly trading zones. All of that. Now this is free. This costs $1. All right. And since you probably can't copy and paste that, just go to emini.cfrn.net, and right above the baseball player, there's a link that tells you about the service, but then there's another link, and make sure you use the link above the baseball player, because that's the one that won't automatically roll over. At the end of 5 days, you just stop getting the alerts, and then you get to make a decision whether you want to become a subscriber or not. Okay. I heard, although it was supposed to go away, I think I saw an email go through where Michael allowed somebody, remember a while back we offered the monthly plan? It's always been quarterly and annually for the concierge. I think he let somebody in at the monthly rate earlier in the week, so if he's going to extend it to one person, it's only fair that he extend it to anyone that asked for it. So if you want that, then ask for it. Okay. All right, we're going to knock out these alerts really quick and get on down the road. It's going to be a busy day for me and Mikey. Okay, that is the wrong alerts. No, it's not. That's last night, Wednesday night, 426. I was just saying there was an error on the sell side of gold last night. I explained and showed it on today, which is now yesterday's radio show. My apology. Okay. All right, so we're in the right place. So if you want to take a snapshot of this, on the top of your go-to window, there's a thing that looks like a little camera, because it's a little camera. And if you snap it, it'll save a JPEG or a GIF to your desktop. Okay. That way I don't have to keep dragging it back out. On the ES, our heart's desire was to buy 23.87. We're a little broken-hearted because of the way it played out. You see that little tick right there? If you took the trade, now from, let's see, buy 23.87, buy 23.87. Okay, if you did that, this thing pulled back to a low of 79.25. That means you'd had to have at least an 8-point stop. That's $400. And we don't believe in risking more than $300 on a concierge trade alert per contract. So, I mean, you could have had your stop here, below this most recent swing low, and if you did, then it wasn't so painful. You know, that's the worst thing that happens to you this week. You're in good shape. Okay, now that's based off this trigger here. Well, then we trigger again, and man, for 10 minutes it looked like we were going to the moon, and then we got slapped down for the last hour and a half. The swing high here was 88.50. 88.50. Unbelievable. One and a half points. Compared to yesterday when we had 6 3/4, then 6 1/2, and then 4. Today we got a stop out and 1 1/2. Okay. Seems so cruel. But it's not. It's simply the truth about trading, which we don't hide from you, you know. It is what it is. On the sell side, we were looking at 23.78, which not impossible that we get there today, but doubtful. Really doubtful. On the Dow, now these alerts went out last night at 7:30, so that's going to be 10:30 Eastern, and 10 is 2200 hours, so 22:30. That's not right. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. 22:30. Right there. That little green candle. Alright. We were looking to be buyers at 29.50. Oh, nice. The swing high was 29.49. The swing high was 29.47. We were saved by the skin of our teeth on the long side. No trigger on the long side. How about the short side? 28.90. Oh, we got some of that. We got a little piece. There wasn't much to get. 28.90. Now, the issue with the Dow, because it only pays $5 a point versus the $50 a point you get out of the S&P. Oh, what did I do? Sell 28.90. Okay. So with the S&P, even if you were just trading for the humble daily goal of $100 per contract, you still need 20 points because the Dow only pays $5 a point. So the swing low here was 871. Well, that's not so bad. That's 29 points. I mean, could have been worse. In fact, on this candle we hit 72. So that would be 28. Okay. Price then gets back above the trigger and triggers again. All right. This time, that's when it goes to the 871. Oh, wait a minute. I've miscalculated here. Yep. Sure did. 90 minus 72. 90 minus 72 equals 18, not 28. That's what the market made available. And that's going to make this 19 points, not 29. Okay, glad we cleared that up. Moving right along, soybeans. Oh, what a mess. Why have soybeans? I can't wait for the November contract. You'll see the difference, man. As soon as we roll into November, there'll be dancing in the streets. There will be no keg this year, not after what happened last year, but there will be much dancing. By 9:51, that didn't happen. Sell 942, that didn't happen. That's what you call a non-event or no trigger. Okay. Crude oil. Boy, we crawl right back to that zone. I can't believe we missed this 47.75 zone. We spent the whole week basically inside of this one zone until today. Now, crude inventories were yesterday. If there was a day that we were going to bust out of this one zone, you think it would have been yesterday on crude inventories, but it was today. And by the time we got this low, I thought it was a pretty high probability that we were going to go down to the zone below, but we didn't. We've turned around and we are knocking on the door of this zone, which has been, now the yellow arrow Sunday night, support, 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 support. Now you've all heard the phrase, the floor becomes the ceiling. What was what was support once broken then becomes resistance. So we'll see if that old trading adage plays out here. I've seen it. That's one of the things I've drug out in the light of day. And while I know it's not 100%er, I do know that there is an extremely high probability that the market will find resistance at this level. And once it shows some evidence that it has found resistance at this level, then a brisk move to the downside should be able to get you your points for the day if you don't already have them. Okay. Remember, aside from the floor ceiling thing, when price hits a zone, one of three things happens. The most likely thing is consolidation. The second most likely thing is rejection. And the third and least likely, but it happens, is a hot knife through butter. In other words, this candle would just keep cruising like the zone wasn't even there. When that does happen, what will typically happen, not 100% of the time, but often, there's a high probability it will happen. Price slices through here, you get another candle, maybe another candle, and it pulls back to the zone, consolidates in the zone, and then takes off. And this time it's the real deal. And you should probably start aiming for that zone overhead. Okay? Alright. Bonds. I'm sure they were a mess too. But we're going to look at them anyway. Okay. 22.30. All right. 30-year bonds. We wanted to buy 153.07. Which didn't happen, and we wanted to sell 152.14, which did happen. Okay. Sorry for the hiccup. Oh. 152.14. Okay. Swing low was 152.07. So that's not bad. 7 ticks times 31.25 per tick. However, we don't get out at the swing low or the swing high because we trail our stop. However, if you got out with at least 4 ticks, that's $125 per contract. So no trigger on the long side. 7 ticks were made available by the market on the short side. Okay, here we go to the NASDAQ, the NQ, which has really been rocking and rolling these last few days. That's fine, 22.30 again, there it is. Okay. All right, on the NQ, we were looking to buy 55.46. The NQ this past week has been like the NQ that we all knew and loved back in the late 90s. You didn't have to handicap anything. You didn't have to do any research. All you had to do was just buy stuff. And it just kept going up and up and up. I remember when Yahoo was $400 a share. I think I might have sold Network Solutions at $7.50 a share. I don't know. That seems kind of high. It might have been less than that. It might have been more like $4.50. Those were the days, my friend. We thought they'd never end. Okay, NASDAQ. Buy 55.46. Oh, but end they did. And just about time we recovered from that meltdown. And there goes the next bubble out the window. Real estate. Alright, so this first little run up goes to 49.50. That's a 3.5 point move at $20 a point. And then we get back below, and here comes the real move. Okay, and you have very little risk. Very little. Now I'm going to use this swing high. Why? Because if you're trailing the stop fairly tightly, this pullback here is probably going to take you out. And if you follow the horizontal line of my cursor, if I use this high right here, follow the horizontal line across, see that big green bull candle? We're not too terribly far off the actual high of the day. So I think that's a proper way to do things. So from 55.46 we got up to 65.75. So I'm just going to go 65 minus 46, arriving at a total of 19 points times $20 per point. 19 times $20 per point. Okay. Next on tap, gold. I guess it is. Oh, I've turned that into a work of art. Do I need this? Oh, yeah, that's that chart we drew yesterday. Yeah, Mike, we still haven't hit that 38% retracement line. Okay. Well, I got to come up with a chart. Okay, this one's no big deal. I'll use it. Let's go to 30 minutes. Let's get rid of all drawing items. Let's make it a gold chart. And we're ready to go. Okay, 22.30 last night. Be that red candle right there. $22.30. Okay. All right, and the email we sent out. Our suggestion, if you had the chance, was to sell 1271. 12. Ruh-roh. Did I mess up gold 2 days in a row? No, I'm sorry. Buy 1270. Let me just drag it out here. After that mistake the other day. Gold. buy 1271, sell 1266. Okay, everybody see that? All right. All right. Now we know the 71 long side did not get triggered, but the 66 short side did. So what do you think Mo Rocca's mother was thinking when she named him Mo Rocca? And I guess Rocca's his last name, but I'm sorry, I'm not responsible for where my mind goes. It just goes there. My wife says I should sell tickets. It's like an amusement park. I don't know if anybody's tall enough to ride that ride. Alright, from 66 we got down to 64.30. So that would be $170 per contract available. $170 per contract available. By the way, the $5 virtual reality headset that I was telling you about that I bought at the dollar store, I still haven't bought a game or a video, but I found one. It was a free app, but it said jaw dropping. I thought, well, I mean, that's got to be as good as if you paid for it, if it's jaw-dropping. So I installed it on my phone, and I put my big headset on, and I did everything you're supposed to do. And all I could see was some little guy would peek out from behind a rock every now and then. Maybe I just didn't know what to look for, or maybe I had set my expectations too high. I don't know. I mean, to me, jaw-dropping is like when we went to, what's it called? Castles and Coasters. I think it was on my son's last birthday or something. And they have a pretty monstrous roller coaster there. I know there's bigger ones all over the world, but this one looked really big for me. And my son insisted that I ride it with him. And I really didn't want to. Then my wife started to insist that I ride it with him. So they kind of had me boxed into a corner. So I rode it. Why do people want to put themselves through that? I mean, I guess all people are different. I mean, to me, that would be like a punishment. Like if you committed some crime, you were caught shoplifting, the judge says, okay, you're going to go spend 15 minutes on the coaster. Oh, no, judge, not the coaster, And, I mean, that would stop me from shoplifting. Anyway, speaking of amusement parks, from 66 we dropped down to, so that's $160 per contract available. But man, my son just loved it. And he wanted to ride it again and again and again. I took no pleasure in any of it. I was happy it was his birthday. But okay, this one dropped all the way down to a low of 63. So that's 3 points at $100 a point. It's $300. Back above the trigger, down we go again. This time we get to 1261.80. So let's just roll that up to 62 to be real conservative. That's $400 per contract available. Okay. In fact, his birthday's in just a couple days, and my wife, she found, she is the most incredible deal hunter in the world. She found on Craigslist 3 Fitbits, 2 slightly used, 1 never used, for $60. So the one that's for a man, she got that for my son, because he does a lot of running and stuff with his junior ROTC. And if you don't know what a Fitbit is, it's a watch, but it measures your heart rate, your blood pressure, and it tracks how many steps you take in a day, and then you download the data to your computer, and it tracks your whole fitness routine. And she's even got a Fitbit scale. You can download it into the scale, and gives you your body mass index, and I don't know. It's pretty fancy. I bought it for her for Christmas 2 years ago, and she's really enjoyed it. And there's, like, on Facebook, there's a Fitbit page, and you and your friends, like, make your own little group, and you challenge each other. She goes 10 miles a day watching TV. I'm serious. She on I don't think it's on Netflix, but it's on the Amazon Prime TV. The whole 24 series is on there. And while we caught like the last 2 years of the series, we'd never watched the previous episodes, so she started at episode 1, season 1, and yep, according to her, on the glider, that thing where it's like you're skiing or something, it's got the poles and your feet go back and forth, and she says 10 miles goes by in no time. And she encourages me to participate, and I really should. Okay, so we had all these nice opportunities, and then we ran into this. Ugh, not good. Somehow, somewhere, some way in here, I just know somebody got stopped out. So let's call it what it is. Stop out. Okay, I gotta really hurry up. We've done everything, right? No, the Russell. We haven't done the Russell. Where does the Russell hide? There it is. 2230. 2230. Yeah. Okay. And then this will be the last one, and then I don't have time for long goodbyes today. I gotta go. I gotta scoot. I gotta giddy up. This isn't gonna turn out well. By 1422. Okay. Swing high, 23.30. Now back in the day that'd be $130, but it's not. It's half of that, which is 65 bucks. Now I don't even know how to compute this. I would have to go dissect it and see. Let's see, it opened here. It probably did go this way. And then it went this way. And then it closed here. Now, if that's the case, alright, then you had a 4-point move worth $200 at $50 a point. But because I don't know that's the direction it went, we'd have to go look at a smaller time frame, and I just don't have the time. I'm sorry. Please feel free to check it out yourself. Russell sell side was 14.15. Okay. Oh man. Could it get any rougher? Yeah, oh gosh, don't ever say that to me. It can always get rougher. Man, I thought I had cured myself of that kind of negative neuro-linguistic programming. Emini crickets. Can't believe I said that. I gotta go wash my mouth out with soap. Did you know that toothpaste and a teenager's tube of acne medication looks almost identical in the dark? Oh yes, I did. Oh gosh, I couldn't brush enough with real toothpaste to get that taste out of my mouth. Oh my god. I tell you guys way more than you want to know, but anyway. I don't have anybody else to talk to. You guys are it. Okay? This is not really a trade because you'd have to put your stop way up here. You actually have to put it way up here. Now you could go to a smaller time frame and potentially find a better entry spot. But nobody's going to take this trade with the stop way up here. That is, on this chart, on this 30-minute chart, this is the most recent swing high. Okay. And then over here, I mean, it's just a continuation of more of the same. This dropped down to 14.12.70. So if you took the trade, I mean, if you went down to a 5-minute or a tick chart or a range chart, and you could find an entry that made taking this feasible, because I don't have time to delve any deeper on a 30-minute chart, both long and short. Walk away or stop out. True story. And that's it, my friends. We've covered everything. We did the bonds. We did gold. We did the NQ. We did crude. We did the Dow. We did the S&P. Where is that old S&P right now? Yeah, it may want to curl back up and have another go. I don't know. It did curl up just enough to, if somebody was sitting here waiting to trade it based on 23.87. It did go 87.25. Now, I know that some of you guys like to see a candle close above the trigger before you take the trade, which they're your alerts and you can trade them. I don't have a problem with that. If that's working for you, if you've traded that in sim and that has turned out to be what's most consistently profitable for you, then by golly, don't let anybody get in your way. All right, were there any final questions or comments? You should tell your son that you ride a roller coaster like that every day. Amen. That's true. Well, yeah, I am glad it was acne medication and not preparation H. But either one, I'm sure, is about as nasty as the other. I mean, I realized my error pretty quickly. You know, I just fumbled up in the cabinet. The tube felt like toothpaste. So I'm just glad it wasn't something really toxic or, you know, it could have been something really bad. But man, I turned the lights on, I got the toothpaste out, and I'm scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing and scrubbing. And finally the taste went away. So, amen. All right, guys. Partners meeting tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern. Got to be a partner to get in. If you've been on the trial, you should have received an email that tells you how to become a partner or how to become a Concierge Trade Alert client, which gives you the benefits of being a partner. So take action. If you can't find the email or you never got the email, then email Michael, support@cfrn.net, or call him at 949-42 Emini. All right. Thanks so much, guys, for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.